audio thing or a video thing?
Sir, actually we have two places where we would upload this. One on Spotify, wherein the audio thing will go up, and also on
Hmm.
YouTube, where the video
Okay,
thing.
so should I improve my lighting? It's a bit dark here.
Not at all, sir. I mean, what
It's
matters is the
fine?
ideas, yeah.
Okay, sure,
So to
sure.
start with, we have prepared a brief introduction of yours. So, sir, from inspiring law aspirants through speed reading workshops and legal reasoning questions, to leading the media team of IDIA, crafting their aptitude test and building their blog and website, your journey has evolved empowering minds and breaking barriers in order to make legal field more accessible. You freelanced as a journalist. You penned captivating articles, which eventually led you to also win the prestigious Best Legal Blogger in India award. So you've navigated diverse professional paths. You've set on your own entrepreneurial journey. Before that, you also were in marketing at Vakil Search. So my first question is, how did you do all of this?
Hmm.
In my 5 year law course, I cannot even think of something else besides law, and you've done everything 10 years ago. So what was the main reason?
Pritham, first of all, thanks for the kind introduction and thanks for the good words. I don't think I did a lot. I was always passionate about writing and about media and about marketing. So all of this came naturally to me. And to be honest, I don't think I worked very hard in law school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one thing which helped me was it was a strategic call. I would not suggest it to most law students or young law people. I took a strategic call not to focus on my academics.
Okay.
I was like that, hey, I like entrepreneurship, I like writing, let me explore these fields.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents had told me that, hey, you're in a 5-year law course, so better do it in 5 years. It should not be a 6th year. So they were flexible as well, and I took that call, which helped. Otherwise, I think my interest, it pulled me into these directions.
Sir, you graduated 10 years back. Since then, a lot of things have changed. You are one of the first products, if I may say so, of this 5 year old curriculum, which was much celebrated and is still now appreciated a lot. So, but 10 years down the line, do you think some things should change? Should the years be altered, or should the curriculum be changed?
Something which has definitely changed is when we were doing law, it was told that, hey, lawyers need to understand business.
Mm-hmm.
That read the pink newspapers, read Economic Times, read Business Standards, so that you develop a business know-how of things as well.
Hmm.
As well, because lawyers, fundamentally, as corporate lawyers, we are advising businesses. You need to be familiar with what's going on in that world. Now it is clear that, hey, you should definitely be familiar with business,
Mm-hmm.
and you should be equally familiar with technology as well, because
True.
technology, I mean, it's fast growing, fast evolving. So that has definitely changed, and I think that's one of the biggest change which we are witnessing in the legal profession and in legal education. So yes, curriculums need to evolve, but knowing universities, they are slow to evolve.
True.
Nothing against them. I don't think it is their fault. The system is built in a way that they are slow to change. They are slow to evolve. But yes, one hopes, with the introduction of, let's say, short courses, with introduction of online
Mm-hmm.
legal education platforms, that this will change. And, some of the younger lot who are now becoming professors as well, probably they need to take up, the baton and go ahead.
Sir, when we talk about this law course, one thing is the 5 years which it takes, which makes it the longest course in our country. This and architecture, if I'm not wrong. Sir, do you think the years should be reduced, or is it fine to do a 5 year course?
I don't think the years should be reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, See, the 3-year law course and the 5-year law course have their own advantages and disadvantages.
Okay.
In a 3-year law course, you are sitting in a class which has people of different professional fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might even have a doctor, you might have a chartered accountant, you might have a BCom graduate, a BSc graduate.
True.
So the discussions from those fields also flow into law. And fundamentally, law is responding to society. And if you have different people, different professionals of a society sitting in one classroom, that's great. In a 5-year law course, of course, you have reduced 1 year. You have made the curriculum packed with legal subjects, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's I think the biggest contribution from a student point of view or from a career point of view, which 5-year law courses are bringing. But I think what is happening is, as a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old choosing to spend 5 years in a certain place,
Mm-hmm.
in a certain field, it's a huge call to make.
Very true.
Probably at that age, you're not ready to make that call. So for me, there's a question mark on the 5 year law course for sure. And I don't think, see, when I was in college, when I was in fifth year, I surely pondered upon this question that, hey, what are we doing in fifth year? We are doing nothing but chilling away
Exactly.
the entire year, right? I was like, hey, why is this not fourth year? But I think now, as you have rightly pointed out, I'm old now. It's been 10 years since I graduated. So I think it takes a bit of maturity, a bit of time for knowledge and experience to seep in. When you are a young person, when you're 22, 23, might not seem that way, but from my vantage point now,
Mm-hmm.
it seems that.
So
Yes.
the reason why I asked this was because whenever we enter law school, some of our friends enter different courses. They graduate, they also do their MBA, and we are still doing this law course, which is bachelor's. Then we realize we have a 2 year master's also to do, which is right now more of a peer pressure, if I may say so, than just to get knowledge. Because अरे LLM नहीं किया आपने मास्टर्स नहीं किया आप आउट ऑफ इंडिया नहीं गए सर इन दिस रिगार्ड्स व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट इज इट वेरी आई मीन to not do an LLM, is it harming the law students or lawyers eventually, or is it a necessity, or you cannot, I mean, you can skip it if you want to?
I don't think so. The not doing an LLM has any major effect
Mm-hmm.
or a negative effect on a legal professional. Of course, if you are interested in a subject, if you are interested, let's say, technology laws or corporate laws or constitutional law, doing an LLM helps.
Okay.
When I was 22, 23, I thought that, hey, now you have YouTube, you have online courses, what's the need of an LLM?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have done an MA in law, politics, and society from
Mm-hmm.
Ambedkar University. So now I understand the value of higher education. But see, as a professional, as a litigator, as a corporate lawyer, not having an LLM is not going to have a major impact on your career. Uh,
Understood.
yes. Yes.
So last
So
question
see,
in this.
fundamentally, sorry to cut you short,
No,
but
no.
the LLM curriculum, most LLM curriculums, I don't think they add any significant value over and above the
5 year course.
BLLB or the
Mm-hmm.
BBLLB honors course, right? There are some new age LLM programs coming up. Something which I can now recall is, one Daksha Fellowship by
Lecture.
Sai University.
Mm-hmm.
Those are interesting programs. Those are trying to fill the gap which the LLM program could not fill, right? Uh, yeah.
I mean, the course is evolving in a different manner, is what you want to say,
Yes.
not the whole
Yes.
traditional one. So, last question of this segment in regards with law school, which a lot of students right now, when we would go to placements, think about. Sir, we started when like 25 to 30,000 applicants were there for CLAT. We're ending up where more than 1 lakh aspirants are there for CLAT. Sir, will this industry, the legal industry right now, end up like the one of medicine and engineering, where you have lakhs of students graduating and only thousands of jobs? And because I believe the scenario right now is shaping up towards that. We are opening NLUs, I mean, but the ratio is very scarce. It is very, I mean, on the different blocks, if I may say so. So, sir, in your opinion, is it true? Will it happen?
That's a tough question. When we started CLAT, we were the first batch of CLAT, by the way.
Hmm.
So in our batch, we had, I think, 12, 13,000 people who took CLAT. See, to be honest, currently what is happening is there are lots of people who are graduating from law. Are they finding jobs by the end of the fifth year? I'm not too sure.
True.
It's been a struggle. So that makes me wonder whether, there are enough jobs in the market. I once posed this question to one of the best legal recruiters in India,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, between the two of us, we could not arrive at a concrete answer. Will the legal profession, will the CLAT exam continue to rise, let's say, to the levels of IIT, JEE, or MBBS? It could, because if you see what is happening in America or UK, which are developed economies,
Mm-hmm.
their lawyers are, they are held in very high esteem. Let's say doctors, lawyers, engineers, the
Professionalism.
numbers, the numbers are similar as well, right? In India, it is still engineers right at the top,
True.
medicine below that, and then maybe law. Again, I don't have a conclusive answer on that, and
Understood.
I have not studied this much. But
Mhm.
according to me, when a country develops, and
Mhm.
if India has to develop with a similar trajectory, uh, let's say, vis-a-vis in America, or a Canada, or a UK, then maybe, the CLAT exam numbers and the number of good lawyers, good legal positions in the country will continue to rise. But again, my answers are not definitive, and
Understandable.
probably I'm not, qualified enough to give an opinion on this.
Understandable. Thank you so much. So now moving on to the most interesting topic, which is peculiar to you, Lawctopus. Sir, this, I mean, it is inevitable for any law student to not go on that website. Our first publication, our first internship, our first moot, our first any activity associated with law school has to be on Lawctopus. Sir, how does it feel to make a website which is so reachable to law students that they're literally thriving on it?
See, thanks for putting it that way. I sometimes think that law students like yourself, they
Mm-hmm.
are able to pitch or advertise Loctopus much better than me. So when you told me that, first moot, and was like, yeah, I mean, maybe we are doing that. But to be honest, a lot of times it is not present for me. It,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem that way. Uh, See, I definitely feel proud and happy and satisfied that I could do this, along with so many people who have contributed to
True.
Lawtopus. Um, yes, and I think it's been a thrilling journey. I never thought. See, I wanted to build the go-to website for law students in India, and yes, you could say that I achieved that, right?
So the very fact that it's still relevant after
Yeah,
being made so, I mean, a lot of time back means that it has been successful down the line. So the
yeah.
tag along question to this, sir, we as students view Loctopus from a different perspective, but you are the founder of it, so you have a different perspective, you have a different aim while building it. Sir, if you are to suggest law students from our podcast as to how can you make use of that website in a more holistic manner, what would be your opinion? If you are a student, if you imagine yourself a student and then you log on to that website.
See, I would encourage law students, if they have any sort of initiative,
Mm-hmm.
any sort of club in their college, or if they want to do it, let's say pan India. Sometimes, just to give you an idea, I've wondered, could we organize an Indian Idol type competition for law students in the country?
True.
If law students are willing to do that, they could use Lawctopus. Sometimes, law students tell me that, hey, my college does not have a moot court society. My
Mm-hmm.
college does not have a writing club.
Mm-hmm.
They could use Loctopus, right? Send us a post, send us an email, maybe make a group, online group of people who are interested in research and writing, or let's say people who are interested in debates and moots, and use Loctopus to create opportunities and platforms which your college is not providing you.
True.
Uh, if law students, and they want to do this, happy to help them through Loctopus.
So now that you've also founded NoticeBard from Lawctopus, so from being particular in an industry, now you've moved in a more generic scenario, wherein all the schools are also being catered. Sir, going to schools has changed a lot. From, I mean, even from my angle, I completed my 12th standard 4 years back, my 10th 5 years, 6 years back. So from now to here, a lot of the things have changed. So now people from their 8th or 9th standard already know that they are wanting to become a lawyer, or they might want to go into medicine, engineering. Sir, in this scenario, how has the mindset of students changed? I mean, what have you discovered from these initiatives? I mean, in regards to with students and their career choices.
See, to be honest, I'm not in touch with too many school students to answer this question well. That what has changed, uh, let's say when we were 15, 16
Mm-hmm.
versus now, kids who are 15 and 16. What has really changed? I'm not qualified to answer that. And
Understood.
again, just to come back to NoticeBard, so NoticeBard currently we are focusing on two sets of students.
Mm-hmm.
One is school students, one is computer science students, and
Okay.
graduates. But it's sort of a new initiative, a new strategy which we have implemented at NoticeBard,
Mm-hmm.
and it will take a bit of time for it to grow, to fructify, and for me to garner some insights.
Understood, sir.
Yeah.
So now let's do a very interesting exercise. Let's map a journey of a law student, starting
Hmm.
from the very first year to that when the person graduates. So
Hmm.
whenever a student is when he or she is in their first year, so I mean not many law subjects are there. A lot of subjects are from the BA or the BBA. Sir, I'm really sorry for the noise. There's just some
No
construction
problem.
going on. So,
No
sir,
problem.
in the first year, we are often, I mean, advised to go for an NGO internship or just to go about and understand the occupational structure of any organization as to how do you work under people, how do you report. Sir, what would be your recommendation to a first year law student when while entering the law school?
So recommendation to a first year student with respect to their internships or with respect to
Internships or
this.
their curriculum or sir any their lifestyle when they, because it is very
See, I
new
think
to go into a law
yes,
school.
I think a first year's law student should definitely be prepared for some sort of a cultural shock
Okay.
or some sort of an adjustment because again, I'm not familiar with schools that much because in a school, I think you are in a more disciplined environment, in a more restricted environment because you're very young, right?
True.
People are, they're guiding you, trying to mold. In first year, especially if you're a hostel life,
Mm-hmm.
you have immense freedom, right? You can go out, you can spend money on you. I mean, you're getting pocket money, you can spend it.
Practically do whatever you wanted to.
Yes, there's a lot of freedom, and with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility.
True.
And there are chances of going astray, which
Mm-hmm.
one should be mindful. Yeah. So that is number one thing. Use your freedom wisely. Second thing is, as a lawyer, you really need to work on your research and writing skills, and that should start from right from first year.
Okay.
Okay, because I think research and writing skills are skills which any type of professional needs, whether it's a litigator or a
Mm-hmm.
corporate lawyer or an academician or a judge. So you can, if your college has projects, research projects, you do a good job there. If you're, let's say, writing a research, though I don't think a first year undergrad student, they can write good papers. I mean, it's just because you're learning the law, you're learning research. But, participating in such things moves. I think working on your research and writing is definitely number one. And then, yes, internships. See, a lot of people think that NGO internships end up being a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
I think all internships are a hit and trial. Sometimes, you end up with a good experience. Sometimes you don't end up with a good experience.
Okay.
But I think in NGO, for me, a lot of people with high amounts of idealism, they're
Mm-hmm.
working in NGOs. And as a young person, you have to be an idealist, right? I mean,
True.
you have to believe in a better world. Working with such people, I think it gives those dreams, some sort of a container. It gives sometimes even, fan to those flames of idealism, which is good, which I think working with a good NGO can help in that way. And so I am definitely in favor of NGO internships.
Understood, sir.
I think if you do these three, four things properly, I think your first year will go well. And final thing which I want to mention in first year is
Mm-hmm.
if you end up with a very good college, don't get overawed. Because if you get selected in a very good college,
Mm-hmm.
you might have been the topper of your school. You might have been a brilliant all-rounder in your school, but then you are amidst toppers.
True.
Amidst the probably the best of people in various respects. So don't get overawed. If someone is speaking better than you, if someone is debating better than you, if you've thought of yourself as a writer and now you see there are 10 people out of 100 who write as good as you or better than you, don't get overawed. You know, it's a 5 year long journey. If you continue working on your skills slowly and steadily, uh, it will hold you in good stead.
So, talking about first year law students, often we see people taking numerous drop years in order to end up in a good college. It might be an NLU or any private law school per se. Sir, what according to you, what would be your suggestion if a person might go for a second drop for an NLU or being in an NLU might write the
I
CLAT again?
don't suggest any drop years in the field of law. So,
Okay.
for example, if you are in class 12, you
Mm-hmm.
have taken CLAT,
Mm-hmm.
you could not score well, and you join a good private university,
Mm-hmm.
let's say in a Delhi or a Bombay or a Pune or a Bangalore, wherever. I think any law school affords you enough time to prepare for CLAT while you are studying for it.
True.
So you have your classes from let's say whatever 10 to 3. You have so
Mm-hmm.
much time to prepare for that. And CLAT again is an exam which does not require 10 hours of preparation every day, 6 days a week, what an IIT JEE or an MBBS entrance
True,
exam
true.
require. Right? CLAT exam probably requires maybe 200, 300 hours of preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that while being in law school? Can being in law school actually aid your CLAT
Very
preparations?
true, sir.
Because I mean, CLAT nowadays is based on comprehension so much. As a law student, you are reading many tough texts. You are reading bare acts. You are reading judgments. So you're developing your comprehension as you are studying for your
For
subjects.
CLAT again, true.
I think you can prepare for CLAT while being in law school, and you take the CLAT next year. If you get into a really good NLU, go there. If you don't, you still haven't wasted your one. So I don't suggest drop years for CLAT. There might be some people who have dropped 1 year, 2 years, and then made it to a top NLU. They might have a different story to share,
True.
right? But then exception should not
Be the norm.
influence your decision making, right? Your decision making should be based on what sounds logically true, what sounds applicable to most of people.
Very true, sir. An amazing answer, I must say.
Mm.
So now, when we move on to the second and third year of a law student's life, we often encounter law subjects coming into play. We have CPC, we have procedural laws. We often go to the bare act, and the first heart attack which we have is the number of sections which we have to read it, memorize it, case laws, etc. Then the whole journey of a law student starts. Sir, there are two opinions majorly in the legal industry. One is you pick a subject and you excel in it. Another is you maneuver around, you have different experiences, you take on different subjects, write upon them, and have some publications and go about it. Sir, is it necessary to have a binary segmentization like this, or can we do both, or how should we go about it? Should we just pick one subject and excel?
Definitely do not pick one subject.
Okay.
When you are in second year or third year, you are very young. You are 19 or 20 years.
True.
You cannot become an expert in sports law in your third year.
True.
You will become an expert when you are 35. Right? So, as a young student in your law school, you should definitely develop strong fundamentals and first principles of law. What are first principles of law? Subjects like contracts,
Mm-hmm.
law, jurisprudence, constitutional law, property law, IPC, CPC, CRPC, constitutional law. If I hadn't already said that, okay. Developing strong fundamentals is critical.
True.
If you are not well versed, I mean, I like giving this example a lot of times. If you're not well versed with property law, you cannot be an excellent intellectual property lawyer. Because fundamentally, that intellectual property is flowing from property law, right?
Exactly.
So you will not be able to contribute to jurisprudence of intellectual property law too much if your fundamentals of property law are not. So,
True.
and see, nowadays, of course, students have other interests also. They are interested in fancy areas or niche areas of law, like, let's say, fashion law or sports law
Aviation law.
or aviation law, for example. Now, you can explore these interests while developing
Core
strong
principles.
maybe do a moot related to aviation law, maybe just write a blog on some aspect of aviation law. There are many different ways to develop, but if you're telling me a second year student is only interested in aviation law, I don't think that's the right strategy. That comes after 3, 4, 5 years of experience, work experience. Then you start developing. But at the same time, I'm not saying don't explore your interests. If someone is aviation, I'm not saying don't do aviation. I'm saying go to a course here and there, go to a conference, meet people, see what aviation law is, maybe do an internship. But develop strong principles, strong fundamentals in first principles.
A very comprehensive answer, sir. So now when we move on, we enter the fourth year. So the first realization most of us have is, यार वो कंपटीशन छूट गया, वो पब्लिकेशन रह गया, उधर कर सकते थे, वो मूड जीत सकते थे. सर एक टैगलाइन बन चुकी है कि यार एक नेशनल मूड तो सीवी में होना ही चाहिए, एक नेशनल जर्नल पब्लिकेशन तो सीवी में होना ही चाहिए. Sir, is it true? I mean, can we break this?
I don't think so. It is true at all. I know so many people who never moved and never published. They are doing really well for themselves. What I do believe in is that in college you should put sincere efforts towards some activities.
Okay.
If you are interested in mooting, you moot well. You
Mm-hmm.
are still in good moods. You try doing well. If you're someone who's interested in writing research papers in, let's say, your third, fourth, fifth year, you do that. It is not true that, oh, you must have a research publication, you must
Exactly.
have.
Hmm.
But I would say give it a shot, give mooting a shot, because otherwise you never know,
If
whether
you are
you
good
are
at it or
actually
not,
good at
true.
it or not. Give publication a shot, and then whatever you are interested in, you go for that. You don't need to do everything, but yes, you need to do a few things right.
And so nothing for the sake of just mentioning it in the CV.
Yeah, nothing for sure. Mentioning things on the CV or a certificate, get doing things for certificates, they're just cherry on the cake. They're not the cake. Cake is your skills, your confidence, your self-belief, the knowledge that you gain, that is the cake. The cherry is the certificate or the bullet point in your CV. If you're doing all of this for the cherry, not for the cake, then, you're mistaken.
No, you'll only be left with the cherry at the end.
Yeah.
Sir, now when we enter the fourth year and the final year, so the most crucial topic is internship. So to get those tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Sir, I'll give you the scenario right now in reality. Sir, we need to book internships in advance like 8 months, 12 months, 10 months. The slots are full. Apply 6 months later. Sir, why is it happening? I mean, sir, as a law student, we feel really traumatized after this. As if we are booking a particular hotel and for a vacation. But आपने 6 महीने पहले book नहीं किया तो आपके room नहीं मिलेंगे and you lost the room, you lost the booking. Sir, what has led to this scenario of law students trying by hook or by crook just to get that 1 month tier 1 shot?
So, Pritham, it's simple mathematics, right? How many internship slots are there in tier one law firms?
Hardly,
If you consider top 10 law firms as tier one, and let's assume on an average they have 20 internship slots in a year,
hmm,
that is 200 internships.
200.
So not every law student is going to get those internships.
True.
And I think there are many other good internships available, and there are many other good career paths available which do not require you to intern with tier one or tier two law firms. I think we need to be a bit flexible in choosing our career paths and career trajectories, and then accordingly act.
So is it, I mean, it's not necessary that you only end up in a tier 1 firm to get a tier 1 job. And if you are missing out on it,
That's not true. See, what happens is, let's say you are from a, unfortunately, many jobs are given based on the name of your college. Many of these tier one,
true.
that's unfortunate. But let's assume you're from a tier two, tier three college. You get into a tier three, tier two law firm
Mm-hmm.
or a tier four law firm. It might so happen that you work in that tier four law firm for a year, then you get into a tier two law firm. You work that for a year or two, you get into a tier one law firm. So, having a long-term vision in mind, thinking long-term and not expecting, let's say, immediate results, and not being too harsh on yourself if the results are not immediate. I know it's very hard to do, but if you do that, then,
In the longer
one
run,
can
you'll have
is tier one law firms, yes.
understood, sir.
And I know a lot of people who had their goals on tier one law firms. They made it to these tier one law firms, they left them within 1 year. So it's not some, heaven on earth. It's
ये मिल जाएगा 10th हो गया तो फिर आराम है 12th हो गया तो फिर
तो आराम तो नहीं है.
very true, sir.
वो तो different conversation भी है काफी.
True, sir. Sir, now when we look at placements in the final year and the fifth year, the only two options which we see is corporate and litigation. That's it. So still, it is very unfortunate कि in your time also it was the same, in our time it is also the same, and if I'm not mistaken, 5 years down the line also it will be the same. Because the pace at which this industry is moving forward is not very, applaudable to law students. I mean, so sir, is it necessary कि आप इन दोनों में से ही choose करो? Why is it that choices are so constrained? Sir, very few entrepreneurial journeys are there in these law schools. Why is it so?
I mean, you need a lot of litigators and a lot of corporate lawyers. If you take 100 people in the legal field, then you need many litigators, you need many corporate lawyers, and that's why there are jobs in these fields. Right? See, entrepreneurs, to be honest, the legal field is very small in India for now.
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a 1 billion or $2 billion industry, which is considered very small. Are there any VC funded startups, legal startups based out of India? Probably I can think of Vakil Search or Spot Draft, a
Mm-hmm.
couple of names come. I don't think there are other people who have gotten VC fund. So, the field is small, the space is small for many entrepreneurs. I think there's a lot of ways in which lawyers are expressing themselves creatively or expressing themselves entrepreneurially. There's a great organization called Agami,
Agami,
which
yes.
is helping justice and law entrepreneurs and change makers. These things are happening; they are good. But to answer your question, why it is happening, I think it's again about mathematics and supply and demand.
So, but is there scope of innovation in this field? Would you encourage law
100%.
students to?
100% there is a scope. I mean, legal industry is ripe for disruption, and again, legal industry is usually very slow to uh, participate in innovations or disruptions. There's a
Very
lot
true.
of there are many currently. I think online dispute resolution, that is something which is on the rise. There are many startups coming up and doing excellent work. Uh, companies like Spot Draft, they are working on contract lifecycle management,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Blockchain, artificial intelligence. I don't think. I mean, in India, if there is anyone which is doing exceptional work in AI and law, but the field is ripe for innovation and disruption.
Bound to, I mean, evolve.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Understood, sir. So now let's talk about one of the most dreadful concepts, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, I mean, has to be the most complex concept ever for any law student to figure out how to participate, to have that courage of sending a connection request to say Tanuj Kalia or Ramanas Mukherjee. It still takes a lot of effort. And sir, I cannot help but mention your bio on LinkedIn. It has to be one of the most impressive bios that you mentioned every year what you did and how it helped you becoming a particular professional. Sir, if you were to suggest law students and help them in figuring out LinkedIn, what would be your suggestion?
See, I don't think LinkedIn is complex, or I think it's a very simple social media platform,
Mm-hmm.
right? And where you do simple things. For example, if you want to share something,
Uh-huh.
be it related to law or your career or your profession, if you want to ask a question, give an opinion, you do that, right? If you want to respond to someone, so
Mm-hmm.
here I am responding to your questions.
Mm-hmm.
There, you might want to respond to what lawyers are, giving their opinions or whatever they are writing, and you do that. And slowly and steadily, you build contacts. I mean, building contacts, it is
Networking.
not a bad name for itself, but it's nothing but building professional friendships,
True.
right? And a bit of that you can do online as well. So by commenting and intelligently commenting, or sometimes even if you want to send a request to someone, you do that. If you want to send a request to, let's say, Ramanuj,
Hmm.
then you tell him that, hey, I'm interested in legal education and I really like what Seco is doing, and here is how I can contribute. And I'm sure if you remind him a couple of times, he'll respond.
So, but
Right.
is it not scary? I'm telling you from a student's perspective to text Ramanuj Mukherjee directly on LinkedIn that I have something to contribute to your initiative which is already running in.
See, I don't think it is. I get what you are saying. If so, I remember my law school when I was doing this project called Lex Biases
Mm-hmm.
with one of my professors, late Mr. Shamnath Rishi. I had a chance to meet some of the best lawyers. I had a chance. I was 21, 22 then.
Hmm.
I had to go to Rajiv Luthra and give him a presentation. I had to go to Nishit Desai and give him a presentation. And I was scared. But these are physical meetings. With respect to emails, or then we used to have this platform called Orkut. I was never shy of emailing anyone. So Legally India used to be a leading website then, during my times, as you are saying it. So I emailed the editor of Legal India, Kyangan, just like that. So I never hesitated, and probably that was a good strength of mine. And I don't think people should hesitate. See, you should be professional, humble, polite, and do your research before sending someone a message, and everyone will respond. Even if it is let's say Mr. Nishid Desai, they'll respond.
Sir, you approaching Mr. Nishit Desai, Mr. Rajiv Rutra. I mean,
I was 20, 21 then, and I just started out. And I'm not saying now. So now,
mhm.
of course, it will be a bit different. But uh, you know, I think law students, as I said, be humble, be polite, do your research before messaging someone, and you don't just send, for example, a hi message. Build some context and tell the person why you are messaging
Interesting.
them, right? And it could be either if you want to, let's say, contribute to Lawctopus, it could be just asking a good question around anything which I can speak on or I can write on,
True.
and people will respond. If they don't respond, that's okay.
But at least you've given your shot is more important.
Yes, yes.
Sir, sir, I've already taken your 35 minutes. I'll end the interview with some
Feel
time.
free. I want to tell you something that you're a great interviewer. You have great presence. The only thing is that you're making me feel old. But
Not
yes,
at all, sir, not at all.
so I'm kidding. Yeah, yeah. Let's go ahead.
Sir, whenever we start with an internship, सर हमें कभी सीपीसी पहले काम नहीं आती, हमें कभी सीआरपीसी कभी पहले काम नहीं आता। सर पहली चीज़ है वर्ड, हमें वर्ड चलाना ही नहीं आता। सर एक नॉर्मल से अगर मैं आपको एग्जांपल दूँ लॉ स्टूडेंट का, हमें वर्ड के ही फीचर्स, सर साइटेशन सुन के हम डर जाते हैं कि ऑस्कोला, ये बड़े बड़े नाम, इसको हम कैसे साइट करेंगे, गलत हो गया तो क्या करेंगे सर, या फिर पावर पॉइंट बनाना हो, गूगल स्लाइड्स हो या कुछ भी हो। सर मुझे ऐसा लगता है एज अ लॉ स्टूडेंट कि ये बेसिक चीज़ें हमें सिखाई नहीं जाती है लॉ स्कूल में, और फिर हमें एक्सपेक्ट किया जाता है कि आप बड़ी इंटर्नशिप में अच्छा परफॉर्म करके पीपीओ लेके आओ। सर बट आपने,
मेरा आपसे ये क्वेश्चन है।
जी सर, सर आई एम सो सॉरी यू आर नॉट ऑडिबल, सर यू आर स्टिल नॉट ऑडिबल, डोंट नो व्हाई। Sir, can I rejoin just a minute? Yes.
Yeah. So sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Sir, whenever we enter any internship or any opportunity, sir, we are encountered with certain
Right.
speed breakers which we are
I got
never.
your question. Yes. You know about MS Word and Excel and these sort of.
Exactly, sir. Track mode, for
My
example.
question to you is, and to others is that hey, you can't point fingers at law school that you teach me MS Word also, you teach me MS Excel also. You learn this yourself. Since you know that it is important,
Mm-hmm.
go to YouTube, go to Udemy, do some course, do a free course on it and learn it. So same thing, when people say, oh, school kids should be taught financial management, should be taught taxes. Okay, I think it will do it will do them good if they are taught that
If
in
you
law
know
school,
them.
in school. But when you are 18, 19, why don't you take this in your own hands and learn it?
True, sir. Very true.
Hmm.
So
We should not be expecting law schools or universities or others basically to do everything for us. I mean, there's a lot of time we had. There are some excellent free resources available. We have a lot of time at hand in law schools. Uh, Completely up to us to make use of.
but I mean, what you mean to say here in a nutshell is that some skills are those which you develop yourself. You cannot rely upon.
And where once you've identified, so let's say you have identified that hey, I need to learn MS Word really well. Spend 5 hours on it, and you'll be better than 90% of the
Very
people.
true, sir. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sir, whenever, I have an example in my mind which I often give to people, that if 100 law students are graduating every year, for an example, that 100 is the very minute. Sir, everyone would know law, but I believe employability would depend on what do you know besides law. Sir, in
Hmm.
regards to this question, what suggestions would you have to graduating law students who are in their final years? What skills can they develop besides law, to
Yeah.
make them more employable?
Yeah, I just want to add something here.
Uh-huh.
Many people, again, they do not have strong fundamentals of law. They can't
Hmm.
research, they can't write,
Hmm.
they can't
Hmm.
draft. Many of us, we don't gather practical skills during law schools, whether it is through internships or otherwise, we don't do that. So,
True.
practical skills are lacking as well. Third thing which I want to mention and building upon your point, what are the other skills, right? I think these are soft skills which matter a lot. Okay? Soft skills like what is your attitude when you come to work?
Hmm.
Okay, is your attitude of pointing problems all the time, or is it someone who's seen as a problem solver?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think that these are attitudes which you're born with, or which are, let's say fundamental to you. These can be developed. Like you can learn MS Word,
True.
you can learn how to be a problem solver. Or, for example, can you work well with the team? When you're voicing your disagreements, uh, do you express them in a way which, again, resolves things, which moves things forward? Or is it someone who stalls conversations and stalls projects, right? Again, that can be learned. How do you learn that? You learn that, in school and college. So when you're part of a moot court team, you're deciding that, hey, should we mention this point, should we not? How do you express that disagreement? Some of these skills, and skills like being on time, being known as someone who gets things done. These attitude sets, which and trust me, someone who has these attitude sets versus someone who does not, the difference, when you're working with them, is like day and night.
True.
Okay, it's like wow, and it's like oh my god. So I think learning these soft skills, identifying these soft skills, working on them like you would work on any other skill, like a contract drafting or an MS Word, is critical.
Sir, this is, I believe, the most important question of my whole interview which I conducted. Sir, because we end up often we end up without internships, often we end up without any PPOs and seeing others getting it. So we question ourselves, where did we go wrong? What did we not know? Even we had a good CGPA or GPA, whatever it is. But sir, listening to your answer, what I actually understand here is that being practical and realistic is very important. Even if you know how to research, but you do not know how to present it, there's no logic of knowing how to research.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was, I believe, one of the best interviews that I conducted, and I mean, unfortunately, I've run out of questions here, or else I'd have loved to continue. So one last thing, one message which you want to give to law students from the 5 Minute League.
The message would be in your first to third year, explore as much as you can. There are many interests which are there within us as human beings. I'm not saying explore just in the field of law. Explore maybe ancillary things as well. Explore things like event management maybe, or writing if you're interested in that. So explore widely, and by the end of, I think, by fourth and fifth year, you can start narrowing down. Another thing is that college is meant to be enjoyed. So
Very true,
enjoy
sir.
fully, express yourself fully, chill also. But as one of my mentors said, you can chill during the weekends, you can chill during evenings, but don't chill away entire years or entire semesters.
True. True. Thank you so much for joining in, sir. It means a lot you taking out 40 minutes of your day just for an interview for my organization, for our organization.
So, and Pritham, you're doing a great job. You have great interviewing skills. I would strongly suggest
Thank
that
you so
you
much.
continue with this excellent initiative. And thanks for having me here.
Sir, just one thing I wanted to mention while I was researching about you. Sir, we have one thing in common, sir.
Oh wow, Piyush Mishra.
Yes, sir. I was just going
Awesome.
over your social media platforms to know that if I encounter any question, I should know it. So, it's really
Right.
nice. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this, Pritham. Thank you.